They weren't just generals, they were architects of power, Hitler's inner circle. Each commanded loyalty, fear, and ambition that reshaped the world. But behind their medals and uniforms lay a darker truth: betrayal, rivalry, and moral collapse. Some were fanatics to the end. Others secretly defied the man they once called Führer. This is the story of Hitler's commanders, how loyalty turned to treachery and power to ruin. 1. Heinrich Himmler, the Iron Administrator. Heinrich Himmler looked nothing like a warrior. Small, bespectacled, methodical, yet he commanded an empire of fear. As head of the SS, he built a state within a state, answerable only to Hitler. Himmler saw himself as a guardian of order, obsessed with discipline and ideology. But by 1945, his loyalty began to crack. As Germany's defeat loomed, Himmler secretly sent envoys to the Allies, trying to negotiate peace behind Hitler's back. When Hitler discovered the betrayal, his rage was instant. Himmler was stripped of every title and branded a traitor. The man who once enforced loyalty died despised by the master he once served. Interesting fact: Himmler was obsessed with mysticism and esoteric Nazi history. He created an SS research unit called the Ahnenerbe, dedicated to proving the superiority of the Aryan race by studying everything from ancient German tribes to Tibetan archaeology. 2. Hermann Goering, the fallen air marshal. A World War I flying ace, Hermann Goering was once Hitler's chosen successor. Lavish, charming, and flamboyant, he led the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force. But overconfidence became his downfall. He promised Hitler that his planes would destroy Britain in weeks. They didn't. By 1944, the Luftwaffe was crippled, outnumbered, outproduced, and overwhelmed. When Goering realized the end was near, he sent a telegram asking permission to assume leadership. Hitler saw it as betrayal. He expelled Goering from power and ordered his arrest. Once hailed as Germany's golden eagle, Goering fell from the sky, brought down not by the enemy, but by ambition. Interesting fact: Goering was a notorious hoarder of art and treasure. His vast personal wealth was built on stolen goods from occupied territories, including masterpieces from Jewish collections. During his arrest, he was found to be addicted to morphine, a dependency that began after he was wounded in the 1923 beer hall putsch. 3. Joseph Goebbels, the voice of the regime. Few men understood power like Joseph Goebbels. As Minister of Propaganda, he turned words into weapons. He controlled radio, film, and newspapers, shaping a reality where Hitler seemed unstoppable. Goebbels was brilliant, manipulative, and fiercely loyal. Even when Germany crumbled, he never wavered. In April 1945, as Soviet troops entered Berlin, Goebbels refused to flee. He chose to die beside the regime he helped build. His story is one of intellect without morality, proof that the power of persuasion can be more dangerous than any weapon. Interesting fact: Goebbels had a doctorate in philosophy and was an aspiring novelist and playwright before joining the Nazi Party. His club foot, due to childhood illness, exempted him from military service in World War I, and his physical disability was often a source of ridicule from his enemies. 4. Albert Speer, the reluctant visionary. Albert Speer wasn't a soldier, he was an architect. He designed monuments meant to last 1,000 years. But his greatest project wasn't a building, it was Germany's war machine. As Minister of Armaments, Speer kept production running under relentless Allied bombing. He streamlined factories, reorganized labor, and extended the war far longer than expected. But as the Reich fell apart, Speer defied Hitler's orders to destroy Germany's infrastructure. He saved bridges, factories, and power plants, preventing total ruin. After the war, he was the only high-ranking official to publicly admit guilt. At Nuremberg, Speer said, "I share in the total responsibility for everything that happened. Few others did." Interesting fact: Speer confessed to contemplating a plot to kill Hitler in the Führerbunker by dropping poison gas down the ventilation shaft. He later claimed the plan failed because the shaft had been extended, though historians debate the seriousness of his intent. 5. Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox. Among Hitler's commanders, one name stood apart: Erwin Rommel. Brilliant, daring, and respected by enemies, Rommel became a legend in North Africa. Even the British admired his courage, but Rommel's success also made him dangerous. After learning of conspiracies to overthrow Hitler, Rommel was given a terrible choice: face trial and disgrace, or take his own life to protect his family. He chose death. The regime announced he died a hero. Behind the headlines lay the truth. The Desert Fox had been hunted by his own. Rommel's name remains synonymous with honor in an age of obedience, a commander who fought with skill but not cruelty. Interesting fact: Rommel was a highly decorated officer in World War I, where he won the Pour le Mérite Blue Max for his daring actions on the Italian front. His book on tactics, infantry attacks, was later read and admired by Hitler, which brought Rommel to the Führer's attention. 6. Wilhelm Keitel and Alfred Jodl, the loyal servants. Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel and General Alfred Jodl were the faces of military obedience. They signed orders, organized campaigns, and carried out commands, no matter the cost. At Nuremberg, Both claimed they were only following orders, but history judged otherwise. Their downfall symbolized a truth repeated through time. Obedience without conscience is its own betrayal. Interesting fact, Keitel was known derisively by other generals as the Lake Idol, a pun on his name meaning lackey or servile flatterer, for his unquestioning subservience to Hitler's most outrageous military demands. 7. Reinhard Heydrich, the man in the shadows. Ruthlessly intelligent, Reinhard Heydrich was one of Hitler's youngest commanders and among the most feared. He rose with incredible speed, mastering intelligence and administration. Even within the SS, others feared him. In 1942, resistance fighters in Prague ambushed his car. He died days later, and Nazi Germany responded with brutal reprisals. Heydrich's efficiency and cold precision made him indispensable and irreplaceable. His death showed that even the most powerful weren't untouchable. Interesting fact, Heydrich was an accomplished concert-level violinist. More chillingly, he played a key role in fabricating the Polish attack on a German radio station at Gleiwitz, a false flag operation used by Hitler to justify the invasion of Poland in 1939. Rivalry and paranoia, the fractured empire. Inside Hitler's headquarters, loyalty was a battlefield of its own. Himmler, Goering, Goebbels, and Speer each fought for influence, often undermining one another. No one trusted anyone. Even Hitler encouraged rivalry, believing it kept his lieutenants loyal to him, not to each other. But that chaos became fatal. Delays, conflicting orders, and misinformation crippled Germany's war effort from within. In the end, it wasn't just the Allies who defeated Hitler's empire. It was his own circle of fear and ambition. Conclusion: the lessons of power. They began as loyal servants of a dream and ended as symbols of its destruction. Their stories remind us that power built on fear consumes itself, and that obedience without conscience leads only to ruin. Which of these commanders do you think shaped history the most, and why? Share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more jaw-dropping history documentaries that explore the truth behind the legends.